Hello mate, how's it going? Welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. It's Tuesday, so therefore it's the transfer deal sheet on The Athletic. We're going to hop in today, learn about some transfer news, and then we'll jump over to some Substack action from Cy Phillips, learning a little bit more on what's going on with Andres Santos. Maybe even a bit more on Alex Scott, Chelsea, to test the resolve of Bournemouth, the Cherries, for their midfielder, who is a great player. We looked at some stats yesterday, did some comparisons. Wharton comes up on top for me, but it'll probably cost a little bit more money. From Crystal Palace, of course, a club we're speaking to already, for Maxence Lacroix, in the big Xabi Alonso rebuild. So we're going to hop into it now. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for liking and subscribing on YouTube, following and 5-starring on your podcast app. Let's get into it. Me. Here we go. The Chelsea segment on The Athletic. What are we going to learn today, friends? Well, this week, of course, we know that Tyreek George, Academy graduate, moved to Everton. A deal worth 24 great British pounds of pure profit, and this is also an important piece here. It's a 15% sell-on clause, which is a pretty juicy percentage. Anything but north of 10 is pretty good. Sometimes you get these crazy ones like 50% sell-on fee clause in case he goes for a lot of money, and then they get a big slice of the pie still. But, you know, if Tyreek George does very, very well and gets picked up by a Dortmund or a Bayern Munich or something for like 40-50 million, then we make some money. Real Madrid released a statement saying they have no intention to sign midfielder Enzo Fernandez, one of the most fascinating transfer sagas of this this summer. Is he going to be stuck at Chelsea? Is he going to go AWOL, refuse to train? The truth is, you can't do a Thibaut Courtois if the buying club are doing statements saying they have absolutely no interest in you. That doesn't help your cause to go on strike, but of course we will follow and follow the stories, how it develops, because it's just fascinating. And how will the Chelsea fans sort of take him back? Do you know what I mean? Like, will they be like, yeah, come back in, we forgive you? Also, if England get through Norway, which would be tough because there's the old massive Erling Haaland to get past, and I think England will probably play Argentina. So I think I'll be watching a little bit more of Enzo Fernandez, probably throughout the World Cup. Speaking of the World Cup, if you're interested in my coverage of it, please do consider subscribing to Football Yannick, the Strasbourg to my Chelsea, the sister YouTube channel where I'm covering all like stories. I covered the Balogun red card scandal. USA went out last night to a good Belgium side. I'll be speaking about more results and teams going in and out, but also big transfers as well. Let's continue reading. Switzerland midfielder Granit Xhaka, who was subject to an £8 million bid last month, has pledged his commitment to Sunderland. Although I reckon if you said to him, "We've struck a deal, would you like to come to Chelsea?" he'd probably say, "Yes, please." Just my 2 cents. Chelsea completed their first acquisition of the summer with Marco Palestra joining from Atalanta. Is he viewed as a ready-to-go signing? Asks Johnson of The Athletic. Chelsea want competition for places in every area of the pitch, and have not signed Palestra to just make up the numbers. Well, it cost a lot of money. He was named Serie A Defender of the Year for his performances on loan at Cagliari last season. So he's already proved that he can thrive in one of the top 5 European leagues. He's missed only one of the 38 games last season, which is pretty good. At 21, he's got more developing to do, but he should get plenty of game time. Even in a campaign with no European football, he still should get plenty of game time, apparently. Which shows we are serious about him. He's also like a wing-back specialist, and, but you know, if we're going to look at this, but we're about to talk about this Chivaria guy. He's also a wing-back. We're going to play a wing-back system. I mean, we've got enough evidence now from the sort of targets, the acquisitions for Xabi Alonso. I needed Marcus Alonso then. Where's he now? So yeah, I think he will play lots of games despite there being less to play without Europe. When selected, Palestra is expected to provide an attacking threat. Captain Reece James and Malo Gusto are recognised right backs. but James has increasingly played more centrally, both in midfield and as a right-sided central defender in a back three, which of course we could definitely use him in both. Like, you talk about this double pivot, we will speak about Alex Scott in a moment and Santos being sold, like midfield stuff. There's a world, I mean, I don't know if Reece wants to, but there's a world where, you know, in the 3-box-3 formation, the double pivot is Caicedo and Reece James. And the right back is Palestra. Right wing back is Palestra. Or Reece James is the right centre back in a free. So it'll be very interesting to see where players play in this new system. Meanwhile, Gusto's future is uncertain. Of course, Man City, club's interested. We've been speaking about that quite a lot, of course. Enzo Maresca's Sky Blues, his citizens, how are they going to set up? Talk of him maybe wanting to sell Donnarumma because he's not good with his feet and Maresca needs a passing goalkeeper. That will be very interesting to see developments there. So right, let's move on to the next segment of the deal sheet. What players are Chelsea looking at? Well, The Athletic writes the following. Chelsea is still looking to sign Vallecano left-back Pep Chavarria. Discussions between the two clubs for the 28-year-old are ongoing. A 28-year-old, you know, Xhaka, I know it's probably not going to happen now. A 34-year-old. Maxence Leclerc, a 26-year-old. These are grown men, grown-ups, playing in top leagues. At least one centre-back will join Chelsea. At least. Maxence Leclerc is a primary target. Jacobo Ramon is also liked. Jacobo from Como. This is Pep. Here he is, the left wing back, the 28-year-old. Great engine on him, gets up and down very well. Pressing, hardworking. Sounds like he fits the bill for a Premier League team playing under Xabi Alonso. The club have accepted Sunderland's decision not to sell Xhaka, as well as his choice to stay. Good bit of PR from Xhaka there. A little bit of a sort of suggested PR from his camp / Sunderland's camp. I wonder if we did just spawn out of nowhere and waved 25 million under their nose, if his position would change. I would guess yes. And will not make another attempt to sign him though. So that's what the briefings are saying. So kind of feel like we've let Xabi Alonso down there because this is a player that he wanted, upsetting the manager before he's even started. That is a new one for this mob, but we'll see. Hopefully he still gets to Cobham with a big smile on his face, looks over his plethora of talent and thinks, yeah, I can make this work, man. Don't worry. Every little thing is going to be all right. They like Morgan Rogers. I mean, if we believe they're obsessed with Morgan Rogers, if we believe certain reports. A player obviously we followed for a long time. He's a versatile attacker, but they accept Villa are demanding a large fee and other clubs are keen. Yeah, I mean, he wanted £130 million. So they can obviously do things that I can't say on YouTube. Excuse me, Valentin Barco, who genuinely is a player I think might surprise people if you haven't watched him from Strasbourg. Really good technician, proper good little plays. Obviously away with Argentina at the moment. He's not a starter in the midfield, but he's a very young player. He's 21. He can play as a sort of fullback, CDM, and number 8. He can be an inverting wing back, which sometimes Xabi Alonso does. So I think he'll be a very useful player. Which players could be leaving? Segment, yeah. Come on. There we go. Just go down a little bit. Okay, Chelsea are ready to listen to offers for winger Alejandro Garnacho. Despite joining from Manchester United for £40 million just 1 year ago, yep, the market opportunity, that worked so well. He has been left off their not for sale list. I would argue he's probably been put on a very much for sale list. Come on down, get your Garnachos, fresh Garnachos. Well, not so fresh, but you know, discount price, my friend. Yeah, no, Garnacho, off your pop, mate. See you later, dude. Despite joining from Manchester United, yeah, he's on the sale list. They are aware of interest from 2 clubs playing in the Champions League next season. There you go, little man. We're not in the Champions. That's so condescending, isn't it? There you go, little man, ruffling his dreadlocks. Has he got like braids or dreadlocks now? He's I mean, we're not playing in the Champions League, so there you go. Upgrade for you, mate. The club are only willing to accept a permanent transfer for the 22-year-old. There you go, Garnacho. There you go. Yep. A signing that divided opinion. I mean, we could reflect on it a bit more long term when the sale happens, you know, God willing. But my word, defender Trevoh Chalobah will be sold if clubs agree Chelsea's £35 million valuation, of which, by the way, I think is very fair. This is not Malo Gusto for 75 million. This is not even Enzo Fernandez for 120 million. 35 for Chalobah, I think, is fair. Especially if you structure it as like a 28 plus 7 deal, you know, in terms of add-ons. It's pure profit. You add it to the Tariq George money, you got 60 million, best part of 60 million quid there, pure profit. Which, of course, goes a long way in terms of actual signings to spread your costs across many years. That sexy term, amortization's back. Yeah, man. The two Serie A clubs that are keen, of course, are Como. They've already had 2 bids rejected for the 27-year-old. It's not mentioning the other Serie A club, but it's Internazionale. It's Inter Milan, basically. I think Trevoh wants to go to Inter Milan. I mean, both pretty good, both in the Champions League. Just Inter will challenge for the league, and yeah, he's a defender, man. You know, defenders love City A, or City A love defenders. Makes sense. I hope he does well, Trevoh, because you know he needs to go somewhere where he's just like the starting leader and a great player, and he's proper Chelsea, and I'd like to keep him, but maybe not as a starter. And I sort of get it. Like he's always in the shot window. Let's sort of end this. Let's just get the players that we know that we want and are going to keep long term, and you know, etc. So Mamadou Sarr, who's 20 years old, who we got from Strasbourg, of course, Senegalese player, very, very good, is a candidate for loan, but the preference is to send him to another English side rather than abroad. So I'm guessing like a Premier League team to get Premier League experience, so he can play for Chelsea when he returns with much more, you know, when he's acclimatized to the league. So I guess like you send him to an Everton, like a Tariq George did, obviously with no option to buy, but would Everton do that? A team maybe that's not going to be fighting a relegation battle, maybe a Crystal Palace or something. Sell us Lacroix, and then we'll loan you Sarr for a year, and you can like have a long time to think about a long-term replacement for Lacroix. I'm just spitballing here. I'm just thinking. Let's keep it going. The Athletic reported on Sunday, of course, about Manchester United showing interest in midfielder Andre Santos. Chelsea are prepared to sell the 22-year-old if they receive a high enough offer. We'll speak a bit more about him in a moment. The same applies for Fernandez and Gusto, who are valued at 120 and 75 million. Well, I don't think we're going to sell those guys for that much money, but if we sell one of them for a close amount, plus, you know, your Santos's and Garnachos, plus your pure profits of Chalobahs and Tariq George's, you sort of end the transfer window with a lot of money generated in sales. They do seem to always do it. I don't know how, but they somehow seem to always do it. Joao Pedro is highly regarded and going nowhere. But at least another striker will be sold. Of course, this decision has not been made yet on which forwards are of Nicholas Jackson, Delap and Omega will have a role. Agu is expected to leave regardless, as you'd expect, on loan or permanently. I think probably Shimeuka, the young striker, will probably go on loan as well. Datsun Satpaev, the young Kazakh striker that's arriving. He's not been mentioned here, but I think he's got Strasbourg all over him personally. I think Delap will go. I think it's between Omega or Nico to partner Joao Pedro, and of course centre-backs Badiashile and Disasi are for sale. Okay, so we've heard conflicting stuff on Benoit Badiashile, but both of them are for sale, as is backup goalkeeper Philip Jorgensen. I do wonder as well, actually, if someone like Tosin, obviously he'd represent pure profit as well because he was a free transfer. If someone came in for him, we would probably sell him, I'd say, even though this is in the leadership group or whatever. I don't know. Right, Cy Phillips is Substack. Andre Santos wants to be an important starter. There aren't many players Chelsea won't sell. Chelsea don't really have too many untouchables like Palmer, Pedro, Caicedo, Colwill, Reece James. I would argue Estevao as well to the list, I would add. But you can pretty much say listen to offers for the rest of the squad, apart from Estevao. We reported yesterday, of course, Santos back in back in April. Man United's interest in Santos. Chelsea would sell him for the right price. He's been a bit part player for Chelsea, and as a result, Santos wants to be an important first-team starter. Hence why he is now looking at his options in the summer. He has many interested clubs, not just Man United, but we heard about Bayern Munich. One of you said in the comments yesterday, they certainly were looking at him at one point, but they wouldn't pay the same money that a Man United would pay us, for example. So Chelsea would sell him, but they'd want north of 45 to 50 million pounds to do so this window. Chelsea are looking at new midfielders to sign, and they're looking to sell at least one themselves. Neither Dario Asugo, who's the kind of deputy for Caicedo, or Romeo Lavia, who's kind of a unique player in his own right, but is just never available, have not much resale value for different reasons right now. So Santos carries more profit value, and they will certainly that will have to come into their thinking as well. But the fact is, Santos wants to be a regular starter, and that's also an element here. Can Andre Santos, can Xabi Alonso tell Santos, yeah, you're going to be a red? Is the Kai Santos pivot coming back? Does he evaluate Caicedo and Santos and go, yeah, that's a double pivot for me? I'd argue maybe not in the Xabi Alonso formation. I don't know if he suits the role particularly well. I think I said it recently on content in the last day or so. Whether any club will pay his evaluation here or not, though, remains to be seen. I believe some will be willing to go up to around £40 million at the most, so we'll see if a negotiation can be done with a club this window. I suspect that realistically an agreement can be reached with this one. Of course, we only signed him for 18 million, so trying to get 50 is trying to treble your money, really. Nearly. Yeah, man. I mean, what do you do, though? If he's not going to be a starter, and if he's going to be a bit part player again, but in a season where there's no European football, surely he gets devalued. So next summer you go, oh, actually, can we have 40 million? And they go, no, 30 million. Do you see what I mean? It's a tricky position where his value actually might be going down because you don't have these even bit part games to play him in. It's a tricky dilemma. All right, then. So let's talk about Alex Scott. I did sort of speak about this a little bit yesterday. Again, on Cy Phillips' Substack. Chelsea expected to turn to Bournemouth after failing to sign Granit Xhaka. The whole Granit Xhaka thing has kind of got me oddly bummed out, and I really feel like I'm in like the twilight zone here, being sad that Chelsea aren't signing ex-Arsenal player who plays for a promoted team who's about to turn 34. It's a real nuanced set of circumstances that gassed me up to the signing, but here we are, Anyway, this is the Bournemouth Alex Scott article. There's a decent chance that Chelsea sell a couple of their current midfielders this summer, and possibly even loan one out. We've just spoken about Andre Santos, of course. And Enzo Fernandez, by all accounts, is still despo to leave Chelsea. As long as you don't go to Arsenal or Man City, you can go, brother. You can go to Real Madrid. You can go to Atletico Madrid. That you seem very Atletico Madrid-y. Or PSG, that interest is real. Just go and, go to Paris, mon frère. There's still even though he seems very Luis Enrique, he seems like the most un-PSG midfielder ever, which I don't, really see happening. There's still a chance that Dario Asugo requests to go on loan as well, depending on the activity in the midfield. He would like to play football next season, yeah? Well, that's fair, because he is a footballer, so he should be allowed. Even still, Chelsea continue to look at midfielders regardless of all the above, and they would have already signed Granit Xhaka from Sunderland if they could have agreed a fee that they were happy with. Chelsea could sign 2 new midfielders this summer. Adam Wharton's still very much on the priority list as well. If you guys haven't checked out the content from yesterday, I would urge you to go check it out. We did some stats comparison with Alex Scott, Wharton, and indeed Granit Xhaka. And yes, and Wharton probably came out on top, to be honest, dude. He's probably my pick. This is another link that's been played down by the club, Alex Scott, probably because it's a big money move of lots of clubs interested in him. But we understand Chelsea are expected to test Bournemouth's resolve at least this summer with an offer for Scott. There you go. It's pretty big news. Yeah. Albeit an unofficial verbal offer. Just sort of hanging out, just like, what do you think about this, man? What do you think about this fee? Can we do something here? Can we do something? Chelsea have really liked Scott now for a while, but and have been scouting him all season. The problem is that Bournemouth at this moment have no intention of selling Scott, and they've offered him a new contract. But can we wriggle into his ear and be like, leave that tiny little Vitality Stadium and come to the big shiny lights of London. Yeah, come up into the smoke, mate, where stars are born. If that doesn't work, nothing will. So the feeling around the possible move is negative. To be honest, I'm probably more pro Wharton, and that's perhaps why it's being played down. But I'm just wondering whether Santos could come into play and go the other way. Yeah, but Bournemouth will not pay as much money as Man United. Although we are now, the Premier League middle class, as they call it, are starting to spend silly money on transfers as well. So they're joining the fun. Maybe you do get more money out of Bournemouth than you do a Bayern Munich these days. It's mental. The money in the Premier League is mental. We've been hearing the name Alex Scott for a while now on the site, and sources have reiterated Chelsea will try for Alex Scott. Well, there you go. Wharton would be targeted if Enzo Fernandez is sold. An interesting set of circumstances. So they're viewing them kind of differently here. Or unless they think Wharton would just cost more money. So Wharton would need Enzo to be sold for him to be purchased. Even if they're like sort of similarly profiled players, I don't know. But I think maybe they're looking at just Wharton as you get that Enzo Fernandez money. Adam Wharton is a highly desired, really good player, Premier League operator. That again, like Maxence Lacroix, has won trophies recently for Crystal Palace, and therefore he is a good target to have. But let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below here on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you're consuming this. If you are on YouTube, I'm grateful for your support. Thank you for liking and subscribing. If you are listening on podcast places, that's nice too. And if you don't, please do go and give me a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Pods and a follow. That's great. It does help me out. And I'm grateful to you for helping me out. All right, gang. Keep it locked. If you want more content, check out Football Yannick on YouTube, and I'll see you soon. Peace.